What is up, everybody? What is up? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know. If not, great. You're just going to have to read lips. No, I'm just playing. I am live. We are live here. Typical Browns fan podcast. I feel like I need to get on for a little bit just to talk about uh a little bit of takes just on just to draft a little bit, just see just how the fans feel a little bit about Andrew Berry's second official without Paul DiBodessa supposedly draft. But before I get into that, want to talk a little bit about the draft party, the Bearded Browns, West Park Browns backers at PJ McIntyre's draft party. It was amazing. Any bit short of amazing. We had a lot of people show up. There's a lot of people there. We got a lot of content. We've talked for 4 hours. My voice was sore for the last 4 or 5 days. Uh, it still is kind of sore. Uh, Yelling a lot, shocked a lot, talking to a lot of people. It was fun. It was a blast. I'm excited for our relationship with the West Park Browns backers. We're going to do a lot more cool things in the future here that we have lined up for them, with them. Sorry. It's going to be a great relationship between us. Cleveland Ketchup was there passing out free chips. That was amazing. Uh, Dan for Beauty Bastards Barbecue Sauce was there handing out free samples of his delicious stuff. Allstate was there giving out free drinks to people. It was a blast. Most likely we will do it again next year. We got some things coming up uh, from them, partnering with them. We're going to be doing the whatever game, London game, Ireland game, whatever game it is going to be overseas. We're going to be there for that. And there's another thing in the pipeline for them that we're going to do. It's going to be fun. So stay tuned to our socials for those announcements. If you also too, if you can scan that top right or my right, your left, I don't know which one it is on top. Bearded Browns podcast is trying to go for back to back wins as far as sports podcasts of the year. Cleveland Scene Sports Podcast of the year. If you can just if you can scan that QR code and just give us a quick vote, Bearded Browns podcast under best sports podcast, that would be great. So thank you guys so much for that. Now that's done. All the announcements I get out early. Shout out to my Rest and Renew Counseling Ohio. If you need therapy, go to Ohio, Rest and Renew counselingohio.com. That's Rest and Renew counselingohio.com. Talk to Jennifer there. She's a great therapist. She will help you out as much as she can. Link up with her. Trust me, she's my wife, and she gives good advice. She really does. Even as a wife, she really gives good advice. It's hard to argue with a wife who has that art of talking to you and then de-escalating the situation. But let's get into this draft talk. We were there, this PJ McIntyre's, and first pick comes up and they trade back, and it was assumed, like, for me, the initial shock for me was Tate going to the Tennessee Titans. Soon as that happened, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna have to trade back. I think I would be shocked if they pick Tyson, is what I would assume would be the next receiver. And he was the next receiver off the board. So I had the assumption that they was going to try to trade back, and they did with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then they pick Fano at 9. Yep. Fano, good old Fano at 9. And I guess that's the pick everybody pegged the Browns to go after, right? And it's not a surprise that the Browns went after him, pegged him. There's a lot of videos coming out now, the pre-draft meetings, where they said you had the one-on-one meeting with him. They had asking him questions about his schemes and all this other football jargon, and they were high on this kid from the beginning. Right, kid's amazing. And if you think about what has happened, he's not allowed to sack in like 30 something games. He had no five pressures and no quarterback hits, right? In 30 something games that he's played at either right tackle or left tackle. and you say to yourself, well, that makes sense, right? That has to be the point of emphasis, because I started to think about uh the Browns the last 2 years. And if you go back and look at 2024, I don't want to cause you guys to get PTSD or anything, but the 2024 year was traumatic enough for Browns fans. But uh, it was pretty sad from the perspective of they could not protect the quarterback, and the problem goes all the way back to that point. Protecting the quarterback was an issue. Now, Watson's development was an issue too. So I just don't want to put solely the offensive issues on the protecting the quarterback, though that was part of the issue. In 2024, they allowed 66 sacks in 2024. 66. They led the league, obviously, in sacks. Uh, Deshaun Watson led the team with 33 of those sacks taken. Jameis Winston had 24. DTR had 8. And Bailey Zappi, he got in there. He had 31 dropbacks. He got 1 sack. I mean, Watson was sacked at a 15% sack rate in 2024. 15%. And then they dropped after that. Winston was 8%. DTR was at 6%. And Zappy was at 3%. But you're like, man, the Browns need to fix this offensive line. And they selfishly, silly, did not do that. Then here it goes again with 2025. Next year, this year, they allowed 51 sacks. So and Shador Sanders took the most of the hit there because he in 7 games. So Fano is a needed piece to this offensive line, right? You think you get your offensive line, most likely left tackle, you get some protection, maybe start the development of Shador Sanders the right way, where you can see what he has. You have a coach that will have the focus on him and his development, hopefully. And then you go, hey, let's see what you can do when you get protection and you not running around the pocket holding the ball for about 20 hours and you get hurt or you throw an interception. You know, hopefully this is the ideal of the Browns' plan for Shador Sanders. Fano goes number 9, and everybody they it was it was great, right? You're like, yes, you get protection for Shador Sanders. Awesome. In this past year they allowed 345 yards total loss of sacks. Their sack percentage was at 9.1%. I mean, it was just ugly all over the field from the perspective of giving the quarterback time. And that's why there's an argument to, well, you can't put all the blame on the quarterback, even if you want to go back to Dylan Gabriel and how his development was last year, because the offensive line was just bad. It was at times even worse than 2024, even though they allowed the most sacks in 2024. You can see that last year it was just never there. Even with the pieces that they attempted to band-aid certain points together, it just wasn't there. And they target Spencer Fano, and they got the guy. They got their guy. So Barry's like, great. They're excited about this kid. I'm excited about this kid, and I'm hoping that he pans out, because there's a lot of worry with the right tackle, left tackle, going from right tackle to left tackle. But then you look into it, he's actually played left tackle most of the time at Utah, but jumped over to the right because the other kid could not. Wasn't athletic enough to bounce back and forth like he did. So I personally think this was a win for us, a win. Now the next pick and the next tackle they got in this past draft was in the 3rd round, and then you think to yourself, mean, what's this is good. What is his name? I had his name put up here. Barber, come out of Florida, later round pick. He does have some pass rush issues. They said that he's obviously a developmental guy. That's why they didn't draft him high. It was weird there. I thought for sure when I was watching the draft. Actually, I was on Going Nuclear. I thought they was going to target either a corner there because I thought they was going to need a corner, but obviously they proved me wrong yet again. That he they got this guy here, and they're going to. I would assume he played majority of the left tackle in Florida. And that's something I didn't realize until I actually looked him up. I'm like, holy crap, he is an offensive tackle, but majority of his reps comes from the left side. But I'm going to assume that's a depth piece, and they're going to put him at guard. 38 starts for the Gators. Uh, uh, Logged in 1,432 pass snaps. Uh, Only 11 sacks his whole entire career in Florida. That's pretty good. I mean, if you go, I think he was a 4-year player there. 38 games, played 50 games, but started in 38, and 11 sacks. Pretty good there. And then they go and they get the center from Alabama, who in 42 games played allowed 1 sack. So it seems to me that this offensive line, the offensive line was a target of interest. Now, personally, I didn't think that they would go offensive heavy on the offensive line, considering what they did in the free agent market. I thought, they're going to try to get some depth pieces on defense to add just in case Delpit is not re-signed or Ward is not re-signed. So maybe they will look into that later. I'm hoping they at least sign Delpit because I like the Delpit and McNeil togetherness there in the backfield for your defense. But they decided to go all in, and Barry does the right thing. And instead of ignoring the offensive line, he gets some more depth pieces. They signed these veterans, and now they're like, hey, if these veterans get hurt, we have these young people who can plug and play. And you got Warhop, who firmly believes in this offensive line. And Warhop was sitting there coaching up, like asking Fano a lot of interesting questions about footwork. And he's like, you're the only person in this draft that can do that with your feet. This is amazing. So he had tons of accolades from Warhop right away. Walter Smith says Browns will be in the Super Bowl the next couple of years. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not that excited. John Thesis said AB knocked his draft out of the park. Shador now was some legitimate weapons on offense. Dan said he was excited to wait. Yeah, watching this in the shower. Someone just said they're watching this in the shower. That's pretty intense. Pretty intense, man. Either way, thank you guys for tuning in. But the offensive line was a disaster, and definitely something that they needed to fix, something that they should have fixed, and something I'm glad they did fix. We'll see if these young pieces can be developed. And the encouraging thing that you do have is you have a veteran offensive line coach that's done it for years, right? He's got his system. He's got his proof in the pudding type, so to speak, where he can get these young people and mold them into what he thinks they can be, to reach their talent potential. And then you got this draft. Then you got the free agents, right? The free agents, I will hope, will obviously start ahead of these developmental rookies, and they'll give them time to learn and to grow. And then maybe in the next year or so, you can see these guys come in and take over, and you have a good, solid offensive line for the next 8 to 10 years behind whatever quarterback you pick. Whatever that quarterback is, like a lot of people are assuming it's Shador Sanders for the future, at least. A lot of people think Watson's the answer today and Shador is the answer tomorrow. We're going to see. We're definitely going to see a lot earlier than we did last year. because I think Monken has a plan to get this quarterback a lot more reps than it was last year. And they're going to decide who the quarterback is, who the starter is right away. They're not going to play the game of, hey, get this guy 3 reps this game, 4 reps this game. I think once OTA really goes in full OTA mode, I think they're going to, in minicamp mode, sorry, they're going to really focus on that. Corey said Watson will be the starter and them weapons will bring the old Watson back. I hope so. No, I don't care. For me, honestly, I don't know the value of having Watson play well because I want to see what they do with Shador. We need to see what we have in Shador. We just do. If Shador can be top 15 quarterback, middle of the road with the weapons and the defense that you have, I think you can be something here. And I think that their plan, they don't want to waste a year on Watson when they need to find out whether or not Shador can actually play the game with protection and with weapons around him. That's just my take. Now, maybe I could see an argument. You say, well, Watson will start the season. Eventually, they'll go into Shador. I still think you need to give Shador as many reps as possible. I'm tired of the excuse he didn't have enough reps. I'm tired of the excuse of they didn't develop him well last year. I just give him the full reign, and let's just see how he runs with it. I mean, worst case is if he doesn't do well, you have Watson, right? If he does well, then great. That means if he wins enough games, that means you can't sit there and say we're going to get a quarterback because you're going middle of the road to maybe 20 as far as picks if you're a playoff team or a wild card team. You're not going to be in that area to get the Manning or the other quarterbacks everyone's still talking about. Because right now the list is at 15 quarterbacks that are going to come out in the draft until the time actually shows, and only like 2 or 3 or 4 come out, and everybody's panicking for a quarterback. Sean says, I can see the AFC North title and deep playoff run. This year? This year you can see a NFC North title this year. Man, I'm excited about the draft, but I'm not AFC title excited. I'm definitely not AFC title excited. I think if the Browns right now, I think, and last I saw, maybe the draft changed this in Vegas as far as total wins. I saw them at 5 wins, 6 wins, I do believe. I could see them 7-9. 7-9 wins will be as a win. But you think they're going to win the title? AFC North, they haven't won the AFC North since the 80s. And now you think, I don't know, man, that's a bold prediction there, man, Sean. That's a bold prediction. Greg says, give Sanders the keys, Watson number 2, trade Gabriel for another piece. Everyone wants Gabriel traded, man. But you're 2 injuries away from starting a 6th-round developmental guy that does not know how to throw the ball, that has upside as far as athletic ability, but he could run the ball. But I don't know, man. Trading Gabriel right now without having a solid third piece at quarterback, for me, that's scary. Now, I'm not saying that Gabriel should start. What I'm saying is, like, there's a value with Gabriel being the third guy. And as you know, Browns fans, we play like 30 quarterbacks a year. So having Gabriel in the system here early, getting the system in and knowing, I think there's value there. He needs a year of real NFL learning. I'm assuming Shador, yes. And here's the deal: like AFC North has a real head coach. AFC North has all new head coaches. Will be interesting. Yes, George said that. But here, like you guys, I think we're shortchanging the fact that we are getting a whole new offensive line that needs to gel and operate. And then you're getting second-year tight end, a second-year running backs, and then you're most likely playing, I would assume, because you drafted both of them pretty high, KC, Concepcion, and Boston. So now you have 2 other rookies that are going to be impactful on your team. I just don't see it. that you can win an AFC North at all. This year, at least. Maybe by 2029 when they open up that beautiful new stadium and it's got that car smelling good, that's new car smell, and everybody's happy. Maybe playoff run there. But I would give it another year or two till we get, you know, hunting. At least I would say maybe wild. I would be at best wild card, worst 7-8 wins. So 5 to 7 wins. Jerry says, I also believe if we can get mid-tier quarterback play from Sanders, we will win the division. I mean, one would think because your defense won you basically all the games last year with poor quarterback play. So I can see that. I can see mid-quarterback play. You can win. The division to me is tough. I don't know. You guys have high – this draft got you guys on high alert. Like you guys are just positive, real positive about this. After this draft, most of you guys are saying division winners. All right, man. I mean, call me a negative and call me non-optimistic, but I don't see that a division win. Even with an easy schedule, again, you have a quarterback who was last in QBR, who struggled. He held the ball longer than he should. He wasn't reading the field correctly. Now, granted, he was thrown in the fire guy. 100, you can make an argument for that. But he's got to come in and learn a whole new system. Now, the encouraging part is you have a coach that can he's even said it too, like the communication between Monken and the new head coaching staff is a lot better than it was last year. So for me, he's learning. So he's learning a new system. So basically, he's starting over like he was last year. Gregory says, are you excited for the Steelers offense? What is there to be excited about? I don't like the Steelers to be excited about anything. Even if they're good, I'm not excited about it. If they're bad, I'm excited for it if they're bad. Aaron Rodgers really hasn't even committed to it yet, which he probably will. What did they do in the draft? I know they got an offensive lineman. Who did they get as a receiver? They need a receiver there. I know they got one that I thought that was pretty good. Maybe I'm being dramatic. Baltimore, Gregory said Baltimore will be different. They will be different, but their coach is young, innovative. We'll see. Cincinnati to me is a sleeper because they got some defensive pieces there, and their offensive line was better toward the end last year. So if their offensive line is better, they give Joe Burrow more time. And by the way, you guys may not know this because their defense was so horrible. Joe Burrow and his receivers have been the top 2 scoring offenses in the league the last 2 years. I mean, so that speaks to something. So if you give them an average defense and they score 34, 40 points, 30-something, 40 points a game, they can be dangerous. Their problem is they run slow every year. They start off slow and then they end hot. So they have to play the catch-up game, right? But I would put Cincinnati as Baltimore, Cincinnati, because Lamar Jackson, they got some pieces there too. They got an offensive lineman that's going to protect them. They had a pretty good draft. I wouldn't sleep on that, man. I mean, they almost had Max Crosby until they didn't. They did get Hendrickson. So, I mean, that pass rush is going to be a little bit better. We'll see. I would not put us in the division lead because of those 2 teams. And Aaron Rodgers seems to win games that he shouldn't win. Pittsburgh seems to win games they shouldn't win every year anyways. We just can't do it. We just can't seem to find ways to win because of our culture here. It just stinks. Now, maybe Todd will come in here and change the culture and says that winning's more important and gives everybody hope and a lot of fuel to play. And these young, talented players, they reach their potential because they're being developed well. We'll see. Kenny says the Browns will make the playoffs this year. The team is a lot better with the draft picks. I just feel like maybe if would the AFC North get 3 teams into the playoffs, because that would be That would be interesting. Now, maybe I'm just shortchanging the Cleveland Browns, and I think I would rather come in with no expectations and be surprised that they make the playoffs after the last 2 years of just trash, of what Todd Monken called poopy football. Now, the difficultness of changing the culture in 1 year for me, and developing the talent that you have with the young people that you have on your team, that's going to be hard, man. That's just going to be hard because again, you go back to the offensive line, you gotta make those guys gel, and Shador Sanders has to get to know new receivers, or Deshaun Watson, whoever's quarterback, has to get to know new receivers, get the timing, get the chemistry going. I mean, for me, I just don't see. I just don't see playoffs right now. No, let me see if maybe my mind will change. We'll see. We'll see. Nonetheless, the Cleveland Browns will have an easy schedule, so that may help them. That would be fun to watch. A team that can score 25 points a game at least. Give me 20 to 25 points a game. I would be happy this year after only scoring 13 and 16 points per game the last couple of years. QJ should be back. Junkin should be back. That should help the offense. Um, his running ability is needed. Offensive line should improve that. I'll be interested to see what they do with Dylan Sampson and how they're going to use him. I mean, there's definitely pieces on offense that can make this offense explosive, right? We were dead last of the explosive rate percentage. They got two receivers and Concepcion and Boston that are just explosive playmakers, right? Uh, I had a stat here earlier today about David Boston's advanced analytics is pretty interesting. Um, David Boston had explosive play rate. Average depth of target was 14 yards. Uh, 23 first downs on 26 catches against man coverage, and that led the nation. Red zone dominant. 14 of his 17 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons were in against man looks, and he's highly reliable target down when the field shrinks, and that's something that the Browns struggled with. Right, is getting in the red zone, and you're like, hey, we need somebody to throw the ball to in the red zone. Last year was Fannin, but teams start to kind of catch on to Fannin, and you're like, they triple him, and then who are you going to take away? Like the high ball. Tillman was never healthy to throw the ball up to him. So Boston gives you that option to throw the ball up high, to high point the ball, and come down with it, the 50-50 ball. James said, Barry is him. The first night I was running off emotion once again for trading down. Barry did his thing. I'm stoked for Emmanuel and Boston. You made a great point and why KC drops was possibly quarterback play. Yes. So, and then Corey says our offense and defense are better. They are better. They're better than they were last year on paper. Now you're coming in with a new coaching staff, a new system. Let's see what happens after the first year, during the first year. But yes, to the point what James just mentioned, KC Concepcion's quarterback was horrible. Off target throws was at 46% downfield, 15 yards or more, meaning he did not throw the ball on target to any of his receivers 46% of the time, 15 yards or more. So you have plenty of those balls where Casey Concepcion had the ball, but he had to do a certain move, certain turk or torque to try to get the ball, make an acrobatic catch, and dropped it. Okay. So I think that high percentage, I think it was like 9.3 drop rate. I think we need to pause on to see what happens here in the development of that. Gregory says Tillman was disappointed. Yeah, very disappointed. Very, very disappointing. And Tillman, I thought he can. And what stinks about Tillman is that he showed consistency. and then sucked and he gets hurt. And then he has to restart this whole thing again where he's consistent and then gets hurt. And then you have to start all over and being consistent and then he's hurt again. So for me, that's the most disappointing about um Cedric Tillman is his health because it takes him back 2 steps and then he goes 3 steps and then back 4 steps. And I think the Browns know that they can't go into this year relying on Tillman being their 50-50 guy. Also, too, he's on his last year of his contract. And are you going to pay him even if he blows up, like has a good year? Are you going to pay him? No. I mean, you can't pay him big money or just having one good year on a contract year. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm disappointment being James right. Tillman is a disappointment. Being hurt isn't his fault. The injury isn't his fault. The situation is disappointing, not Tillman. My bad. No, I rephrase that. Derek says, I don't know. These rookies show up. Browns are going to be nice if they show up. Now, that I believe they can. I believe they will. But at the same time, I'm a Browns fan long enough to know that I may be disappointed if I rely on ifs and hopes. So for me personally, I'm just going to put a pause on everything and just live day by day as a Browns fan. But I can't remember the amount of talent that has been on the field like this in a while, where you have the potential talent. Where you have Isaiah Bond, who's a deep threat. Casey Concepcion, he's a deep threat, and he's a route runner. Casey Concepcion is interesting to me because you think he's going to go run the deep route, which he can, but he's got moves like his route tree is humongous, and that's the thing that on draft night it's kind of like what James Frank said. Like I was like, what? Yeah, I got him, and he drops the ball, blah blah blah. But then I get home and I start really looking into what his drops meant. Then I'm like, oh, his quarterback did suck. He's trying to catch the ball, make a big play. He felt pressured being the only man on the team. Maybe coming here, not being the only man and getting developing with some good receiving coaches because we got rid of Chad O'Shea and a good offense, things will change. That's just my hope. Thoughts on the two guys from Tennessee would be nasty, but him and Hyatt have sucked. Yeah, that is weird because I felt like both of them in Tennessee had like Hyatt for me, I thought I had Hyatt a little higher than Tillman, but like to your point, they have not done nothing in their career here in the NFL. But it's we'll see. I just want to come in and let you know why my initial thoughts and trades about the offensive line specifically. I didn't go too deep because I got a Tuesday show that I'm going to share some more stats on about the offensive line, the picks in general. So Tuesday, 7:30 live, where me, Mike, and Chad will be breaking down the draft even deeper than this. Where we will probably try to hit all of them, like the round 6, 7. Like I mean, you got to you give your opinion, but you can't be like, well, they're going to be studs, right? So we'll try our best on that. And don't forget Saturday, 10 a.m. Browns Morning Brew. They're going to break down their assessments on what they thought of the picks. They'll probably talk about their experience on Thursday night at PJ McIntyre's, which was just a great experience. Stay tuned to our socials. We're going to have a lot of behind the scenes stuff drop that we will love for you. Just in case most of you couldn't make it, but if you couldn't make it, you'll see like how much fun it was. And if we ever do this again, maybe you guys can come out, plan ahead, and come out and enjoy the draft with us. There's a lot of good people there. We got one guy come on stage and he was like giving his points intoxicated. It was really cool. Sam said, what did you say? Denzel Boston, Denzel Boston, Denzel Boston. Exactly. Sam is excited about Denzel Boston. I wish I would have been there, Sam, when we picked him in the second round because I wanted to see how excited you got. Because truthfully, when they got Casey Concepcion, I can't speak for Sam, but I thought, okay, they got Casey Concepcion. They're not going to get another receiver. I never thought in a million years that Andrew Barrett would go back-to-back receiver, and he did. He tricked me. I firmly believe now nobody knows what Andrew Barry's going to do in drafts. So you get these insiders that have opinions. They're going to say their takes. I thought for sure Andrew Barry's going to go offensive line, maybe receiver, maybe safety, receiver or safety. but he just went line, receiver, safety, which, by the way, all four of those picks, if you look at most people's mock drafts, they all got first round grades on them. First round grades. So Barry got 4 first rounders in the top 2-3 rounds. So that's exciting to see. Maybe, just maybe, Andrew Barry had some input in the room and he had to be sensitive to. I don't know if Andrew Barry was controlled by Paul DePodesta, but I do think he had they had some input and he kind of maybe had to be sensitive. But now I think he has full control. He listens to Todd, but he's like, I'm going to pick who I'm going to pick. In the last 2 years, last two drafts, he has done very, very well on paper. We'll see. We'll see what he does this year. I'm super excited. What's up, KP Young? So thanks you guys for tuning in. I'm about to sign off right now. Thanks for tuning in. Tuesday night, we're going to do we're probably going to give our grades. Now, when I say grades, I don't mean like, a lot of people think like this is how he's going to end up. We don't know how these players are going to play, but we're going to give our emotional grade, basically like how we feel about it and how we felt at the time. I think that's how we're going to give our grades. But tune in for Tuesday, 7:30. Thank you to PJ McIntyre's for opening up your spot for us to come to. Thank you to Danny Cleveland, West Park Browns backer president, for giving us the opportunity to come in and do a live draft show. Thank you to our sponsors, Cleveland Ketchup, for coming up, dropping off 3 huge boxes of chips to pass out. Allstate for handing out free drinks. And Bearded Bastard Barbecue Sauce, Dan, for coming out an hour and a half-ish, probably longer because he ran into a rainstorm, coming out and enjoying the draft with us, giving his basket, and the one person that won it owns a barbecue restaurant. How amazing is that? Really cool things that happened last night, Thursday night, sorry. Also, lastly, thank you to my true and one only sponsor, the one I've always loved, my wife, restandrenewcounselingohio.com, restandrenewcounseling.com. Go there if you need to talk to somebody, sign up for a session, free 15, 20-minute consultation. She will talk to you. She would try to, if you got some things you need to get off your chest, she'll talk you through it. If you're struggling with some depression or some mental state, she would help you with that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to sign off. Until next time, like always, go Browns.